Hello everyone, welcome to today's class, and our title today is Helping Hikikomori. Let's move on to language focus. 1번. Just like our physical health, our mental health needs to be checked and maintained. And when there's something wrong, we owe it to ourselves to fix it. So as you can see, I have highlighted, we owe it to ourselves. So we use one owes it to oneself to express that for one's own belief, it is important to do something. So one owes it to oneself. That's very hard to say. It's like 개인의 이익을 위해 스스로 무엇을 해줄 필요가 있다 라는 표현이다. That's sort of how you would explain it. So if we look at our first example here, if you want to live a long, healthy life, you owe it to yourself to eat right and exercise. So, 건강하게 오래 살고 싶다면 스스로 잘 먹고 운동을 할 필요가 있습니다. Now, as you can see, we owe one to oneself. So, owe it to yourself. We owe it to ourselves. She owes it to herself. He owes it to himself. Next one. I told Marta that she owed it to herself to spend more time with her family. 마타 스스로를 위해 가족이랑 더 많은 시간을 보낼 필요가 있다고 말해줬습니다. So she owed it to herself. She owed it to herself. They owed it to themselves. So the two pronouns are used in this situation. Okay, moving on to 2번 now. So 2번. Our modern day underground men and women need to know that it's okay to seek help and that a better life awaits. Okay, so I've highlighted the word awaits. So we use await to express that something is anticipated in the future. It can be used with or without a direct object after it. It is similar meaning to be in store. So be in store and await are similar. So I'll highlight this for you to also remember. Now, what do I mean? Await, 미래, 무언가가 기다린다, 다가온다. But await 다음 직접 무적어가 있거나 없이도 사용 가능하다. be in store랑 흡사한 표현이다. So, if we look at our first example, medical students don't mind going through years of hard training because they know that good careers await them for graduation, after graduation. So, 의대생들은 몇 년 동안의 힘든 교육을 말하지 않은 이유는 졸업 후 좋은 직업이 기다리고 있기 때문입니다. Not in Korea at the moment. There's a very bad situation with all the doctors. Okay, and I don't know why, but I have a feeling that trouble awaits. 왜 그런지 모르겠지만 문제가 생길 것 같은 느낌이 들어요. So awaits. Alright, now let's move on to the language focus quiz. 1번. If you live in you owe it to yourself to visit at least once. So if we scroll back up to we owe it to ourselves, right? One owes it to oneself. 개인의 이익을 위해 스스로 무엇을 해줄 필요가 있다라는 표현이다. So if you want to live a long, healthy life, you owe it to yourself to eat right. 건강하게 오래 살고 싶다면 스스로 잘 먹고 운동을 할 필요가 있습니다. So if I go back down to my language focus, let's say If you live in Texas, you owe it to yourself to visit a Texas barbecue restaurant at least once. 텍사스에 거주하신다면 한 번쯤은 텍사스 바비큐 레스토랑은 가보셔야 합니다. Alright, and parents should tell their children they owe it to themselves to be proud of themselves. 부모님은 자녀에게 스스로를 자연스러워야 한다고 말해줘야 합니다. You don't need that second too. 3번. Hard times await people who... So, going back up, await. Remember, await in meaning, await 미래, 무언가가 기다린다, 다가온다. await 다음 직접 목적어가 있거나 없이도 사용 가능합니다. Alright, so what awaits? Hard times await for people who don't prepare. 준비하지 않은 사람들에게는 힘든 시기가 기다리고 있습니다. And 4번, if you awaits. If you don't study hard, failure awaits. So, 열심히 공부하지 않으면 실패가 기다리고 있습니다. Now let's look at the further discussion. 1번. Do you know anybody who suffers from extreme social awkwardness? How do they handle it? 극도의 사회 어색함을 겪는 사람을 아시나요? 그들은 어떻게 대처하나요? I'm actually kind of socially awkward myself. I'll give you an example. I went to a what do you call it? A networking event not too long ago, and I didn't know anybody at the networking event. And so I kind of just stood there instead of introducing myself, because I've never been to a networking event before. Instead of going around, introducing myself, I just stood there and was very socially awkward until someone came up to me and started talking to me. I think I'm a little bit socially awkward at the start. How do I handle it? I kind of wait for people to introduce themselves to me. And if they don't, then I just awkwardly stand there. So I'm not very good at, networking events, or I do sometimes feel like I have social, awkwardness, or when meeting new people at least. 2번. What types of programs do you think would be most helpful for recovering Hikikomori? Hikikomori 회복에 가장 도움 되는 프로그램은 어떤 곳이 있다고 생각하시나요? That's a good question, because maybe networking events is something that would help out, but I think people would also feel a little bit hesitant to leave their home. Maybe Zoom calls, just to start off, tiptoeing your way into getting back out in the world. So Zoom calls, then goes an in-person meeting, or then goes a night out or something like that. Like step by step, by going back out there and putting yourself back out there. I think that might be very helpful for people who suffer from this sort of thing. But then again, it would be very difficult to actually talk somebody into going to these sort of events. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's lesson, and I'll see you on the next lesson.
Awkwardness. awkwardness,
anxiety,
anxiety,
alienation,
alienation,
bubble,
bubble,
disillusioned,
disillusioned,
stigma,
stigma,